Welcome to Palm Harbor Local, the podcast dedicated to building community and sharing inspiring stories from the heart of Palm Harbor. I'm your host, Donnie Hathaway, and today we're joined by Kelly Cloward, who's the owner of the Crumbl Cookie franchise in Palm Harbor, Florida. Palm Harbor Local is all about spotlighting individuals and businesses who are making a difference, overcoming challenges, and fostering connections right here in our hometown. If you're passionate about growing together, getting involved, and celebrating the people who make Palm Harbor thrive, you're exactly where you need to be. In today's episode, you'll discover how the Crumbl Cookie franchise got its start, why Kelly decided to open up the Palm Harbor franchise, and we'll talk about the differences between starting a franchise or starting your own business from scratch. Now, don't forget to connect with us on Instagram at Palm Harbor Local for behind-the-scenes highlights and join our weekly newsletter at palmharborlocal.com. Now, let's dive in and build community together. Kelly, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, this will be fun, man. So you are the owner of two franchisees of Crumbl Cookie.
Yep.
Crumbl Cookie. What got you started with this company?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, Crumbl is a gourmet cookie business, and my wife and I grew up in Utah. My wife grew up in Minnesota, and we both went to college at BYU in Utah, and that's Utah's where Crumbl kind of originated. And at that time, there was several other cookie businesses there popping up, and we would try them out. They were really good cookies, but Crumbl kind of stood out above the rest. They kind of the ones that shot up, and so, we were consumers and we liked it. But I was studying construction management, actually, and my wife was studying social work. We graduated. I got a job in Texas building homes, and we moved out there, and we were doing well doing that. But I've always had kind of an entrepreneurial desire. I've always kind of thought that the kind of life that I wanted was the kind of life where I would be a business owner. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of always had in the back of my mind, my sights set on that, but I was building homes for this company and I was enjoying it. I didn't love everything about that company. And then we had our first kid. Your priorities start to shift when that happens. So I decided that was when we were going to go for it. I just started a little construction business. I wanted to just start with like small end remodels, things like that in Texas. And I found out really quickly, I was just so naive that I thought that I could get that thing going and support my family really fast. And so I quit my job. I started that business, and 3 months later we're starting to get nervous because we weren't quite making enough to survive. And I guess I'm going into a lot of details it's a long story for a short question, but I ended up in roofing sales, and that kind of gave me a taste of like the sales entrepreneurial kind of lifestyle, and I loved it. We were doing well, but my now business partner, he's my cousin. He called me up one day and just said, "Hey, I have an idea. I want to run it by you." And he said, Have you ever heard of Crumbl Cookies? And I was like, yeah, of course I know Crumbl Cookies. We love Crumbl Cookies. Yeah. That's the place where my wife wants me to go and spend $20 on a box of cookies or whatever, Actually, at that time, I think it was only $10. He's like, well, I think it would be really fun to do it. He's like, I've got a couple friends that have, franchised with them, and they're doing really well. So I said, okay, well, let's look into it. Despite it being a totally different industry than what I was used to. I've never done retail. I've never done food. In fact, in like high school and stuff, I worked all my way through high school, college, everything, but I refused to do food.
Yeah. Never a server or anything like that?
No, I just never wanted, I don't know what it was. I just never wanted to have to do that. But I really liked Crumbl, and I loved the concept. They have a rotating menu that just seemed so smart and cool that every week we have new cookies on the menu, and that keeps people coming back. It kept us going back because every week we wanted to try the new cookies. And rarely was there one you didn't like, but So, despite they were doing really well in roofing sales, I was making more money than I ever had in my life. But we prayed about it, and knowing that, like, even in roofing sales, someone's my boss. Someone could wake up the next day and I could look at them wrong and they could let me go, and I'd be trying to figure out what's next. And this desire to be an entrepreneur and kind of guide my own life, we decided to go for it. We prayed about it and decided that this was the right move. And from there, we could kind of choose, where we wanted to go. Of course, we had to go through like the interview process to become franchisees and everything like that. But it's been a really great decision for us and for our family.
And how long have you been with the company now?
3 years. Well, actually, a little longer. We built the Palm Harbor store. That one opened a little under 3 years ago. We opened August of 2022.
Okay.
So leading up to that, there was probably a year worth of prep to get us to that point. So we've technically been with Crumbl for like 4 years.
Yeah. Where does your entrepreneurial spirit come from?
Oh, that's a great question. I think growing up, I had wonderful parents, really great parents, and they both worked jobs. My dad went to work at 9:00, came home at 5:00. My mom was a nurse. She was working part-time while we were in school and stuff, and we did well. But I saw one of my best friends growing up. His dad was a business owner, and I just saw this kind of lifestyle that they had, and I thought that would be really cool. And so that was kind of where it opened the door to entrepreneurship.
How old were you when you first?
I don't know, because he was my best friend like my whole life. Like they moved in when I was like 2 years old. Oh, okay. And so just like kind of just grew up with them.
Okay.
But I also watched, their business grow. And
so some of your earliest memories are with this family.
Yeah. And I would go on family vacations with them sometime. And not that my family didn't have great vacations and stuff. I just, I kind of saw this possibility, and I kind of honed in on that. Mm-hmm. And then I would notice, as I was getting older, like other business owners, they're living this other lifestyle that I was like, that would be really cool. And not just like things and toys and blah, 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 but like freedom, they're going on vacations. They don't have to ask someone for time off. They don't have to, So, I just kind of always was like, man, I hope I can make that happen. But I felt very much like that wasn't something I'd be able to do. I didn't have good grades in school. I severely ADD, and I remember like some of my earliest school experiences were that of just like, I can't do school. I'm not smart enough to do this. Yeah. So for a long time, I just thought like, my future is to be a car mechanic or something like that, But I think where that started to change was when I was 19. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I went on a 2-year mission. And I went to England and basically knocked on doors for 2 years, talking about Jesus Christ, Mm-hmm. And I think that's where, not that I had some wildly successful mission where I baptized a whole ton of people or anything like that, but like I think my belief in myself started to change, and I think my faith had a big part in that. Like I believe I can do a lot more than I ever thought was capable of. And then I was able to start applying that too, because the mission is kind of like sales. You're going around and talking about Jesus. You're trying to get people to accept you and accept what you're teaching. Sometimes your only success when you're teaching about Jesus Christ is that no one slammed the door in your face that day.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I think I just really started to get this belief in myself that maybe I could do more than I thought. And I also learned how to study. We spend hours every day studying scriptures and everything like that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't think I'd ever go to college. I came home, I applied for BYU, and I got into BYU. And then I was able to, I can't say I got great grades in college, but
your skill set improved at that point.
Yeah, exactly. And so, then I start looking at different possibilities of a career. I had no idea what I was going to do up until I was, I think I did 2 years of college before I realized I could actually study construction. And the whole reason I ended up studying construction, I had a little bit of construction experience just from working through college and high school and stuff.
Yeah, right.
And what really got me into that is like I had a really good friend that was studying it, and he said school doesn't even suck anymore. And I was like, what? You found a way to make school not suck? Yeah. And I was like, I'm doing it.
I'm all in.
Yeah. And it was great. Like I loved studying construction. BYU had an amazing program with amazing instructors. And what was really good for me is it wasn't just construction, there was a lot of construction theory, but there was a lot of business theory as well with that. And I got, there was one class that I'll never forget is, I can't remember exactly but it was just business development. And like the whole class, you started from day one and you started developing a business. And we developed a hypothetical car wash business.
Oh, cool.
And you take it and you go as realistic as finding a real plot of land that's for sale, and then you develop this hypothetical whatever it is that you're doing. So we developed a hypothetical car wash, and you drew up plans, you made a budget, you did a marketing plan, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So those kind of experiences are what kind of helped me see that I could probably do this. And so I think those all accumulated into at least giving me enough confidence to pull the trigger on something as risky as starting a new business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Your story reminds me, did you ever read the book Rich Dad, Poor Dad?
I did.
It's to a T almost, right? You have this family friend that, has this different lifestyle, and
yeah, that's
the rich
true.
dad,
Yeah.
Investing is extremely important, but it can also be somewhat confusing. With taxes, asset allocation, stocks, bonds, and funds, to know what to do with all this could be overwhelming. Jacob Wade is a financial coach and will work directly with you to put together a roadmap for your money, for life. Jacob has built a name for himself as a finance expert, and you can find his writings in places like Forbes Advisor, Money.com, Investopedia, and Time.com. But he has a passion for helping people create a clear and simple investment roadmap to buy back their time and retire with confidence. If you could use a financial coach on your team, then simply go to palmharborlocal.com/roadmap to book a call with Jacob today and see if hiring a financial coach could help you crush your 2025 goals. Don't wait to have that same feeling next year of not hitting your financial goals. Connect with Jacob today and let's make 2025 your best financial year yet.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I've never actually put that together, but yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I grew up great. We had everything we needed. My parents were very much like a live below your means type of family.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
we never struggled for anything, but I think I did grow up looking at what other people had. And, when you're a teenager, that's important to you.
Yeah.
But, so I was kind of like, man, I need to make more money than that. But I look back and I'm really grateful for what my parents have instilled in me for teaching me to value money and everything like that.
Yeah.
So I feel between those, I think I've been well-rounded, but I still have a lot to learn.
For sure. I think I kind of grew up similar. Both my parents, kind of worked. My dad retired Air Force, but went to work every single day, and my mom, same thing. And there's value in having that structure and stuff.
Yeah.
But same way. I growing up, and I don't know where mine came from, but I just always wanted to own my own business.
Yeah.
And I just remember having that thought, and that kind of stuck with me. And same thing, I went through school, not knowing what I wanted to do, ended up getting a degree in biology, because I thought I wanted to do something else,
Yeah.
you know, and then, and now I'm in real estate for the last eight plus years. So, yeah, but like you touched on it, like having the belief in yourself, I think that changes everything. That realize, you know, gives you that thought of like, oh, I can do this. Like I can do more
can't
than
afford a risk, you know, like,
right.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's awesome. I think I think about that a lot too, especially where now what I do is, most of my employees are under 18, you know, and they're on the cusp of making these big decisions. And that's something that I love most about what I do now. Although I'm not in the stores as much as I used to be, but, helping them, like, I feel they probably hate it because I probably offer way too much unsolicited advice, but, but like, I want to help guide them and make those decisions and help them remember, like, know that, like, hey, it's okay not to know what you want to do. Because I felt a ton of stress from the time I probably started way too young stressing out, but, from the time I was like 15 until I was 25, like, what do I do? Like, how do I make the right decisions? What if I make the wrong decision, you know? And, you know, you studied biology, you're in real estate. I started out, I thought I was going to do physical therapy.
Oh, that's what I was going to do with my biology.
Yeah. And I found out very quickly that I did not want to do that. And we did like a hospital tour where we went and interviewed a physical therapist. And I didn't know that physical therapists, some of them, like especially the ones in hospitals, take care of like unhealing wounds. And they went and they showed us some videos, and I almost passed out. And I was like, I don't want to do this.
Can't do this.
And it's fun. My mom, my sister, you know, long line of nurses in my family. In fact, even my business partner now, he's a nurse. But I just like blood, pus,
taking care of people.
Nah, I can't. So I've always known that a doctor was not my path. But I thought, you know, I liked exercising. I thought physical therapy would be cool. But then basically I went into construction just because I didn't want school to suck anymore.
Yeah.
And then now I'm doing cookies, you know, and it's not that I actually loved construction, and my goal is someday to make it back into it. But I think like I mentioned, like, I think you can't take your decisions are almost never final. You know, you can change, and you can't be scared to make the wrong decision, because you probably will. And you'll probably be just fine.
Yeah. You're going to make the wrong decision. Yeah. And I think that's like, you have to, like, you have to make decisions.
Yep.
And then, whenever it's wrong, you just learn from it and move on.
Exactly.
You know, what did you learn from like starting your construction business? Like when you took that leap?
Yeah. So the biggest thing I learned from that was, don't quit your day job.
Yeah.
So
you quit before you even started, like the company started, you quit your job.
Yeah. I have kind of like a one-track mind, I think. And so to me, the thought of starting a construction business while also having another full-time job, and, you know, we just had a baby, I was like, there's no way. But I was like, but if I quit this job and I just go in full faith, 100%, start this business, like, I believe in myself enough to make this happen. Well, like, that's a good belief, but also, like, maybe I could have done it a little smarter to where there wouldn't have been so much stress. But to the point we just made, was starting a business and quitting my day job like the smart thing? No. But it led to great things, despite it being not the smart decision.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if I would have done that. I don't know if I would have gone ahead for Crumbl, because
if you didn't have that experience,
right? And I think I may have even it may have been a confidence thing. Like, okay, I started a business. I went through starting an LLC, and I went through starting like a marketing and plan and things like that. And I kind of saw the conception of a business, but I think there was an itch inside me that really wanted to start a construction business. And had I not just tried it, I might have been like, well, let me try to start this construction business first, thinking I may still have that naivety of like, I can get this going if I go all in. I can really do well. I thought I was pretty good at construction. I probably forgot everything I thought I was good at that point, but I really thought I could get it going and get it going fast. But
how long did you have that company for?
not long. I mean, because my plan is, so I the way I got into roofing was I was like, I need something that I can be flexible with, and I thought sales would be really flexible. By the way, I didn't mention this, but in college I also did door-to-door sales, and so that kind of gave me some of the confidence to go into like sales and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, pest control.
Nice.
There's a lot of those door knocker guys that we despise, but it was a great experience for me. I did that for 3 years, and it kind of really shaped my business mentality. But anyways, so knowing that kind of side of sales, knowing the flexibility of it, I was like, if I could do sales, then if I get into roofing too, because in Texas, it's kind of like Florida. Like I know roofing's big in Florida, but in Texas, it's even more so because they get so much hail. It's all covered by insurance.
Okay.
And so it's honestly kind of an easy sale too there. But you get a lot of roof rats, is what we call ourselves. So anyways, yeah, so I got into roofing because I thought that I could do it and continue building my business.
Yeah.
But I found out as I got into roofing, I was like, man, actually, if I focus on this, I could make as much as any business owner. And I've got pretty good flexibility being, my office was my truck. And we drove around and looked for bad roofs, knocked on doors. And as long as you're selling and making money, no one really jumps on your back.
Yeah.
But that was, like I said, always in the back of my mind. Like, I do have a boss. And he's actually a mentor to me still to this day. But he was known to be pretty, I don't know what the right word is, hard-headed, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Like if he's not going to give you a second chance if you do something wrong in his eyes,
Yeah.
So I kind of felt I was always on borrowed time. But I mean, still to this day, he's a great mentor. But
cool.
And I think in a lot of ways you have to be a little bit that way as a business owner.
Right.
The longer you let a problem stay,
quick to make decisions.
Yeah, but
so would you go back, like if you today, like would you make that same decision, quit your construction job and start a new company? Or would you
I wouldn't want to trade the lesson I learned. So if I could go back today and know all the things I know now, I would do it differently. Obviously, I would have kept my job.
So let's say you're gonna start another company, you keep Crumbl, and then
and Crumbl's different too. Because if I were to tell my boss back then that, hey, I'm gonna moonlight and I'm gonna go build houses on the side, they'd probably be like, okay, don't come back to work tomorrow.
That's true.
But with Crumbl, it's totally what process do I have in place to where I can open up my time and do another thing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we'll never get rid of Crumbl. It's been a huge blessing for us. But yeah, that was a big lesson I learned, is like, you have to take risks as an entrepreneur, but you don't. That's one of those things. It's like you can also juggle more than you think you can, I think. But I don't know. Everyone's different. But that's, for me, that's proven to be true. I can juggle more than I think I can. In fact, I find that I thrive more when I'm more busy, when life is more chaotic. I can stay more focused.
Okay, that's what I was gonna ask you. Like, what, like, why do you think you can do that? Right? Is it like focus? Like you're just like locked in, like, because you have to be. Like, there's no time for.
There's no distract. You can't.
Yeah, can't be distracted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I find that too. Like, yeah, when things get busy and chaotic and stuff, it's like there is no wiggle room in the conversations you have and the time you're meeting people and stuff. It's like it has to be.
Yep.
You have to be very disciplined in that.
Yep.
Yep. And it's almost like when it's not chaotic, like if you can translate that to those times too, right? Like have that discipline and focus and stuff. Like that's a huge skill.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. And I still, that's probably one of my biggest weaknesses today is like when you get that free time, you just want to sit down and relax. And but like my mind even feels more healthy when it's busy and I can focus like that, because I'm not just like, I'm bored, let me open my phone and scroll through this. It's like, hey, I need to do this. How do I make sure I get this done and all this? And then at the end of the day, your head hits the pillow and you sleep like a baby because you're exhausted and you're focused instead of being distracted all day.
Do you think you have to have that sort of like mindset to be an entrepreneur?
I don't know. I think there's different degrees of entrepreneurship. You can be a lazy entrepreneur.
That's true.
And you might find, a golden nugget that allows you to be lazy. But I do think you have to be able to do that at least sometimes.
Yeah.
Like for example,
or something.
Yeah, like with Crumbl, right now it's not necessarily passive. I try to stay pretty active with all the, background operations and stuff like that. But I have a phenomenal general manager who runs both of my stores, and that enables me to spend more time with my family, and I could totally, be that lazy entrepreneur if I wanted to. But for me, I'm more healthy if I'm busy and active and things like that. But it's, so if I wanted to, I could be that lazy entrepreneur. But I do think you have to have some degree of high discipline, especially when you're starting out, because like when I started Crumbl, I had no idea what I was doing. I'd never done retail. Like I said, I'd never done food. And so I knew that I was going to have to be the general manager. So we just hired a bunch of employees, and I was the general manager, and I was figuring it out every day. Those first few weeks, especially with our first store, I was putting in probably 80 hours, every week. And I loved it too, because I was learning so much, and the business was doing well. But if you're not willing to grind for an indefinite amount of time, being an entrepreneur, it's probably not going to work out.
Yeah, that's true. I listened to like Nick Baer's podcast and watched some of his content or whatever, and he owns like a supplement company, nutrition supplement company, and he talks about, like, he calls it sprints, like going through sprints of time where you, like, your business grows or whatever, and there's like certain times where you need to put in, you just need to be dialed into your business to really help it grow, right? And that's how you, I think for him, like, that's how he finds the balance in it, because it's not, 80 hours for years on years on years. It's just, for, a couple weeks or a couple months, whatever that time frame is, and then you can dial it back, and then maybe you got to pick it back up again at another point. Yeah,
that's very true.
I
agree with that.
What have you, since opening up your franchise with Crumbl, what have you learned about business? Like, if you had one big takeaway
about business, it's not, I think being a business owner has a ton of, like, it's sexy, right? Like, everybody thinks like a business owner is really cool. Like, going back to how I grew up and saw, like, anytime I saw like a wrapped truck, I just thought like, wow, they must be doing really well. Like, that's so cool. And and then you find out that, like, there is such thing as being over leveraged. and you might have a lot at risk, and you've got to make some smart decisions, and you've got to make some big sacrifices sometimes in order to make it happen. For us, we took actually a huge pay cut to come and do Crumbl. We're in a small home that we rent. We're still in it, actually, because the market's crazy. But yeah, we have tons of business debt right now, and like, there's no guarantee, especially with Crumbl, questionable economy that we are kind of in right now.
Yeah.
Most people are going to cut out desserts the first thing that's to go out of the budget, you know? So you kind of have to live with this, like, what happens if, like, what if, you know? And then I have to totally pivot. So you have to be willing to live with a certain degree of uncertainty. Uncertainty is probably the scariest thing that there is, especially when you have, you know, a family and mouths to feed and stuff like that. So you're constantly always trying to figure out, like, how do I make sure my business continues to do well, or like how would I pivot if I don't? Will I have to go get another job?
So like what goes into like opening up a franchise, right? Because I think there's like benefits. Like if you're going to go into business, like do you start your own company from scratch like you did with your construction company, or do you buy into a franchise that has like this proven system and you just plug into that? You know, there's benefits and drawbacks, I think, to both scenarios.
Definitely.
But what have you enjoyed about like buying into a franchise? And then that's what I want to ask you too, is like, what is that process like? Like you said, like there's like a year-long process before you're even opening up your store. Do you get like a small salary during that time, or how does that work?
Yeah. So franchising is interesting. And many not all franchises are the same, right?
Yeah.
There's not really any rules to what they do and don't do. But I mean, the big obvious one is you have to pay a lot more, you know, even to get considered. You know, you have to put up the franchise fee. Mm-hmm. There's net worth requirements and everything else. They want to make sure that you're a good fit. So
they're investing in you as the
right.
individual, right?
Yeah, and they don't want somebody who doesn't fit the brand, who's gonna you know, just get it started and then you know, tank it. Mm-hmm. So I think franchising. I look back now and I'm super grateful. I think there was a time after we got into it that I was like, man, why did we do this? Like, they take so much of our top line. And there's like, we love Palm Harbor. We live in Palm Harbor. I've learned a lot about location selection, because like this store is kind of hidden away in the Target Boot Ranch Plaza. And I think that's cost us quite a lot, but it does okay. But like there was times, Crumbl, when we opened Palm Harbor, our Palm Harbor store is the top of the Crumbl trend. And we just killed it. But since that day, like for the next year and a half, every month revenue is down. We're letting employees go left and right. And then I was like looking and I was like, man, with these franchise fees, they're making more money off my store than I am. And so I was like just so bitter for a long time. But so that's the downside of franchising, right? Is there's however much red tape the franchisor decides, and Crumbl's very particular about their brand, rightfully so. It's a great brand, but you know, for a long time, like you had to get approval for almost anything. Even probably to do this podcast, they probably would have wanted approval.
Oh wow!
They've loosened their grip a little bit since then. I think they're like we talked earlier. They've only been open since 2017. That was their conception, and they're still learning too. But yeah, you're like, man, I can't do any like marketing on my own. They want to approve everything that they possibly can. The materials, like they have, like you can do a mailer program and send out a bunch of mailers to everybody, send some coupons out. But Crumbl wants you to use theirs, and it's, you know, like $1 a flyer, and you're like, there's no way. Like, I'll send it to 5 people, I guess. So those are the frustrating things. And sometimes it would be nice to be able to just say like, okay, like this is my business. I will decide how I spend my marketing dollars and things like that. But the upside of a franchise is huge too. You know, Crumbl does a very good job marketing. You know, anyone who's on Instagram or TikTok has probably come across a Crumbl ad.
Yeah.
And they have phenomenal infrastructure. Like our apps and everything are all in-house. So like marketing is not something I have to really even think too much about. Locally, I do a little bit. We live in Palm Harbor. I want to be, you know, part of the community. I want Crumbl to have a community feel to it. Most people just see Crumbl and assume like, you know, national brand, not local, whatever. But yeah, we are. But then like to open it, they give you the playbook. They give you step-by-step support. And for me, that was really important. And I think that's what also made me open to it, to pull the trigger, is because I did start that construction business that I think I didn't get to answering your question when you asked me how long I was doing that, but I only did it for about 3 months.
Okay.
And then I kind of just let it fizzle out because I was doing well in roofing and I could do more there. But
okay.
So I consider that a failure, but it's a failure forward. But I was like, man, to have someone open the playbook to me, and I'm very much like a business noob. Like I didn't have anyone really in business in my family. I didn't really have any like business mentors. Everything I've kind of learned, I've kind of just picked up and learned about on my own.
Yeah.
So I always kind of felt like at a disadvantage that way. And so like having a franchisee to support me step by step all the way through, felt huge to me, and it's proven to be, you know. How do you get a lease? How do you find the right location? How do you build out your store? All those things, the franchisees like, here's your support person, ask them any questions and they step by step get you there. And so that I think is a huge benefit to franchising. So I think like there's different ways, you know, if you're wanting to be an entrepreneur or start your own business, franchising can be a great way if you have the money to invest or have a partner that can invest with you and you're willing to operate. That's the situation we were in, is my partner kind of put up all the startup capital and I was the operator. So for me, it was honestly the best thing to go into franchising. And I think it makes me more willing to try another thing on my own, you know, eventually, because now someone has shown me the way, and I've learned so much. Now I can do it on my own. But also I've got the huge benefits of franchising, like not having to worry too much about, you know, your marketing, because it's all taken care of. And every franchisor is different. You might not have the marketing support that Crumbl does at a different franchisor, but that's great. You know, that's something most business owners have to spend a whole ton of time worrying about, is how to market well. And for me, I just have to spend time in the community. That's all I'm trying to do. But that's a long way to answer your question. But I think there's pros and cons to both, like you said, to going out on your own or starting with a franchisee. I think starting on your own, you need less money. You can find hundreds of companies you can start for almost nothing. But then you've got to pay that ignorance tax, is what they call it. You know, like you're going to mess up, you're going to make mistakes. You're probably not going to make money for a long time. But the payoff is you get to keep a whole lot more of what you make. So, I
think there's almost like a thrill to, I mean, if you have like the capital to like make those mistakes and like struggle through however long it takes, like your construction business probably would have been successful, like if you just had the ability to give it more time. Right. And you know, for me, there's some excitement about doing that, like struggling through that and like figuring it out on your own sort of thing too, you know. But then there's also like you can just shortcut it, and so getting into real estate, like I was that way. I wanted to figure it out on my own, and I didn't want to join a team or anything like that. And I joined, you know, Berkshire Hathaway when I first got started because they had training and support and all that. And And I thought that was the way to go. And looking back, like if you would have joined a team, it's kind of like buying into a franchise. Like they have their systems and everything in place, their playbook, and you get to see all that from day one as a newbie real estate agent versus you're just making a ton of mistakes and you keep failing. You try to figure out your messaging, who's your ideal client, who you're marketing to, how do you market to them, like all these things that you have to work through.
I think to do that too, like you can do it, but you have to be able to like get, because that can be very discouraging, right?
Oh,
like,
100%.
Like, oh man, I'm failing. Like, what am I even doing? And you want to give up. Like, I think your mindset has to be okay with making those mistakes and continuing on. Because it's discouraging. I think that's something I learned a lot from having done door-to-door sales is you learn very quickly how to overcome that discouragement. You know,
you get a lot of no's.
You got to get through 300 doors of people saying no before you find a yes, you know? And so like that, I think for people who want to get into business, but they don't know how, I think getting into some kind of sales is a great way to get your mind right.
Build confidence.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. What do you, so you're new to Palm Harbor.
Yep.
You came here for Crumbl.
Yep.
What do you, how did you guys settle on Palm Harbor?
Yeah,
like,
that's a good question.
Yeah.
So once we decided to do Crumbl, most franchisees had an area they wanted to go to, and it was usually like where they lived and everything like that. Like I mentioned earlier that when we got into it, we were like the top of the trend. So like almost everything where we wanted to go was, or where we initially thought we wanted to go was sold out. But Florida was still pretty open. Like, so we would have stayed in Texas had we had the option to, but when we got it with Crumbl, they were like, yeah, there's not really anywhere you can go here. Where else would you want to go? And we're like, well, honestly, like we'll go anywhere. We'll prioritize a good area over where we want to be. And they had a guy that was over, I can't remember what they called him, but he helped all the franchisees select their locations. He's like, well, Florida's pretty open. There's some good spots over there. And we're like, well, living in Florida would be cool, you know? And we had a couple friends that lived here. So we called them up and, you know, hey, like, do you think Crumbl would do well in Florida? What do you think? And at that time, there was only one. There was one up in Wesley Chapel.
Okay.
And people here, our friends lived in, I think it was Newport Richey at that time.
Okay.
And they're like, we drive, 45 minutes to get to Crumbl. And they're like, and when we go, we'll take orders of all of our friends around here and pick up all these. So I was like, okay, like it's going to do well. Like, let's go. And so we decided to settle on Tampa. We loved, what was important to us is having somewhere that was, family friendly, and decent schools, decent living. The thing that I had against living in Dallas was there was no recreation. Like if you wanted to go on a hike anywhere around Dallas, you were like going some neighborhood nature trail,
Yeah.
Even to go to the lakes around there, you've got to pay to get in and go to pay the state park fee. And then, if you don't have a boat, which we didn't have a boat, then you're just kind of like hanging out at the lake, and which was fine. But I grew up in Utah where recreation is,
to do.
right in your backyard. I grew up pretty close to the mountains, and we could literally walk and be on the Rocky Mountains. It was
That's amazing.
So for me, that was a hard transition. So the idea of coming to Florida, where there's all these natural springs, you got the beach and the ocean, I was like, that sounds a little bit more like the lifestyle I'd want. But all those things combined and to get us here, and we really looked at where's the place where families want to be, where's the good schools, where's all that stuff, where's the tight communities, and we kind of knew looking for for Crumbl locations, we were going to be like the St. Pete, North Pinellas area, North Tampa, those kind of areas. And it turned out there was a lot of franchisees that had the same idea I did. And there was already tons of territory sold.
Oh, wow.
Palm Harbor. And it just seemed like just the perfect little community. And so our first store was here in Palm Harbor. And then we moved into Palm Harbor just because like we thought this would be a great place to raise our family. And we quickly fell in love with it. Like we're now at a point, finally, there's another point about being a business owner is you don't qualify for anything. If you want to get a loan, like
you gotta wait a couple of years,
man. Yeah, you don't qualify for it. It doesn't matter how much money you even made.
Right.
You don't qualify.
Yeah.
But now we're kind of getting to that point where like, okay, we can look around and try to find a home and make ourselves a little more permanent. But like, we just love the Palm Harbor, East Lake area. We don't want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we plan to stay here because we just love it so much.
Yeah. What is it that you love about Palm Harbor? Like now that you've been here, like what have you settled on?
First of all, I think we've got a church family that's just amazing. I mentioned earlier we go to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
Mm-hmm.
That building's in Dunedin, but all of our church members are all kind of in the Palm Harbor area that
mm-hmm.
meet there, and they're just so supportive. And I think that is a good sample of the Palm Harbor area as a whole. Like everyone's just, you know, people love their families, and then it's great to be close to the beaches. You know, you go to the beach and it's very family friendly at the beach. The kids can play in the water. You can relax. The things to do here, there's tons of stuff to do for the kids, tons of parks, tons of carnivals, you know, all that kind of great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And to amplify that fact, like we just had twins, I mentioned to you earlier.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, literally like 3 weeks ago we had twins. So now we have 4 kids.
You sleeping? Like you look well rested.
Oh, I do? Great. Yeah, no, not very much. Yeah, they're kind of getting synchronized a little bit better now, but for a while one would sleep and the other one would be awake.
Oh, man.
But our families, my wife's family and my family have both been in town, so they're helping out with that.
Good.
Energy drinks go a long way too.
Yeah, sure.
But having that support was really important to us. As we've doubled the size of the kids in our family, we're like, okay, we need a bigger house.
Yeah.
And we're looking around, and the easy thing would be to go way north and go find a house in Land O'Lakes that's a little more affordable, you know, whatever. But we're like, you know what? We really like it here. We can make it work. We live in a little 3-bedroom house. Mm-hmm. We can make that work for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, that's kind of the sacrifice we're making to be able to stay in the area. And the point I make with the twins is that like people really came out of the woodworks to show us support. You know, we've got people. There's not enough days for all the people that want to bring us meals. Which is amazing. You know, anyone that's had a baby knows like having some meals, not having to worry about dinner and dishes and all that other stuff is huge.
Massive.
So yeah, we just really feel the sense of community here. And since opening Crumbl and since trying to get more involved in the community, we just have such a great community here. Like, you know, I'm a member of the Chamber of Commerce. And anytime I go to an event there, it's just, you know, you worry going into something like that. Will I be accepted? Are people going to be friendly? Am I going to make any friends? You know,
mm-hmm.
You know, it's just a natural thing you worry about, but like, they're so welcoming. Everyone in the community has been nothing but awesome. It does help that Crumbl is such a fun brand, because when I mention Crumbl, people are like, "Whoa, Crumbl, the cookie guy," you know, and that's been fun. But yeah, we just really like being here. So
yeah, I think that's something that's unique about Palm Harbor, like you mentioned, is the community.
Yeah,
that it's just different than some of the other cities around us. Like I think there's more of a community vibe and community sense here in Palm Harbor. Maybe it's because of the schools. Maybe it's because there's more families and stuff, compared to some of the other cities.
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah, but it is unique. So you have locations in Palm Harbor, and then where's the second location?
In Pinellas Park.
Pinellas Park.
Yep.
Okay. Do you have plans for another third location?
We do have. So when we started Crumbl, we paid to have rights to 3 locations.
Okay.
Our third one was supposed to be in Bradenton, but part of the learning process is you learn what a good location looks like and what one doesn't location look like. And as cliche as it is for location, it's very true.
Mm-hmm.
And so with our third one, we're pretty picky. We found a really good location. There's a brand new Costco down in Bradenton, but they've kind of stonewalled us because first of all, construction down it's a brand new shopping center they're trying to build. They didn't know when they would finish. Construction costs were going crazy. But then in the meantime, they've had some other like big box stores come in, and they kind of pushed us out of that.
Yeah.
So now we're kind of looking for other areas, but we're picky enough that we're not going to desperately just get anything we can. We're looking for an A+ location to put our third store, and so far we haven't found it. So we'll see what happens there. But
cool.
Yeah, we'll see.
It just I think that's part of the business entrepreneur mindset. It's just kind of be patient, right? Like you've learned what works, and you just gotta wait till you find that right spot.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah, and then another point to Palm Harbor, like our Palm Harbor store is like the biggest thing that determines what we've seen so far, how well a Crumbl does, is how close it is to other Crumbles, obviously, because the only competition we have is other franchisees.
Mm-hmm.
And here in Palm Harbor, we have stores all around us. There's a store in Clearwater, Trinity, and West Chase. And so really Palm Harbor is unique in that we really only get people from our community to come to us. We really only serve people in Palm Harbor, a little bit of Dunedin, Oldsmar, and Tarpon Springs, which I think is kind of unique in that, like, we're only serving members of this community. So it really is a community store, but that goes back to the point of, like, we don't want to put up another store that's too close to another Crumbl. That's not good for another franchisee, for one. It's not good for us. So, it's kind of a tricky thing to figure out, but that's like you said, that's kind of part of the exciting part of being a business owner, is trying to figure out that. It's almost like Monopoly or Game of Chess.
Yeah. And then it's like once you find it, you're like, oh yeah, this is it. We got it.
We did it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Awesome, man. Kelly, well, thanks for being here. Thanks for kind of sharing your story and highlighting Crumbl and stuff. So go buy yourselves a box of cookies.
Yeah. Open 6 days a week, close Sundays. So
cool.
By.
Thanks, man.
I appreciate it, Donnie.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Palm Harbor Local. We are incredibly grateful for our sponsors who make this show possible. Jake with Roadmap Money. Be sure to support your local businesses and keep building community together. Until next time, stay connected, stay involved, and keep making Palm Harbor an amazing place to call home.